I've always taken things to the knife's edge, and sometimes I've gone beyond that. And that happens when you're a performer like me.
For nearly half a century, Freddie Starr has been a performer on stage and screen. From 60s Merseybeat idol to goose-stepping comedy genius. At one time he was trumpeted as the very saviour of variety. An anarchic wild man on stage, off it, Freddie had the bad boy reputation to match.
When I think of Freddie Starr, I think genius.
Now you do what they told you.
I was a flavour of the month.
Now you do what they told you.
I would describe him as actually crazy,
Nutter, nutty,
wicked, cruel.
I had a good time.
Tonight, we take a look at a maverick and a rogue whose life has never been far from the pages of the tabloids. Freddie Starr, bad boy of comedy. Freddie Starr was born Frederick Fowles in Liverpool in 1943, but his was far from an idyllic childhood. Time at home was spent dodging right hooks from his bare-knuckle fighting dad.
This is 125 Brookwood Road. This is where I was brought up. My father was very strict with us all. I mean, you know, my dad never used to slap you, he used to punch you, you know. He knocked me unconscious a few times, you know.
Freddie managed to escape his troubled home life when he was picked from thousands of hopefuls to play a young scouse scallywag in Liverpool's answer to Blackboard Jungle.
Who's the Firefly?
I wouldn't say, Johnny, not to anyone else.
Kick him.
Honest, Johnny, I wouldn't.
I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. And then I thought, God, I'm getting £2,000 for this. Oh, it'll be great. And when I got back home, me mum and dad had pinched me money.
Such harsh lessons would serve Freddie well as he and his cohorts scampered off into the swinging 60s of the Merseybeat era. A natural show-off, pint-sized Freddie, now known as Crazy Legs, was jumping on stage at the Cavern and singing with whoever would have him.
If Freddie come in, he'd be surrounded straight away. Not just by the girls, by people from other groups who respected him as a musician, and by people who knew if they got round him, he'd do something funny. So he'd be the focus of attention as soon as he walked in.
Hello? It's Freddie Starr.
What do you want?
Just got a camera crew here. And Liverpool people are very friendly. Okay. I was known to the bands that, you know, that I could sing. And they used to ask me to get up. And I was known as a bit of a comic, you know. I never took it serious. You know, but inside of there, I always took my music serious, you know.
Come on, Derek!
Freddie's passion for music was matched only by a passion for the ladies. Even marriage to first wife Betty didn't stop Freddie casting his roving eye in the direction of anyone who stood out in a crowd.
I'll never forget my first meeting. He was passing my dressing room. Now, I've got a vaccination mark here, you know, it's quite big. And he saw this image, you know, big boobs. I mean, remember, I was 40-inch bust, and he noticed my vaccination, and he went, bloody hell, is that where you blow them up?
She had massive tits, you know. Everyone used to look at her tits when you used to talk to her.
For a pop youth with the horn, there was only one place to go. Freddie took his Mersey meat to Hamburg.
I shagged myself silly. I was that ill, you know. I couldn't walk, you know. I was on all fours, you know, leaving 5 tracks.
Hamburg was, compared to Liverpool, it was a city of sin. And the bars open all day, there was drugs readily available if anybody wanted to take them.
Everyone was popping purple hearts, me included. You know, so it was like ecstasy. All spit on my mouth and talking. And you stand by the bar. And the other mate would be stood by the bar going, bits of spit. And it was hysterical. Looking back, it was just hysterical.
Hamburg was paradise for Freddie, but his insatiable thirst for anything in a skirt would eventually catch up with him.
The lads took me to this bar in Hamburg called the Roxy Bar. I'd never been to any place like this before, where there was transsexuals and things, yeah.
Some of them were very nice, they looked very nice. Others were big, burly buggers, you know, with their, with a big unshaven face. Hello, Shetty, you know.
And we all sat at this table, 6 of us, and these 2 women came over, and one sat by me, and I'm opposite the lads, and a hand goes on my leg, and I go, and then she starts kissing me and everything, and I'm going, oh, and I'm looking at the lads over the shoulder going, and then she says to me, would you like a drink? And I said, pardon? She said, would you like a drink? I went.
Freddie's Hamburg encounter may have started with a kiss, but according to his autobiography, it ended up being rather more full-blown. Back in Liverpool, with his latest band, the Delmonts, Freddie's musical impressions were slowly taking over the act.
I was doing a song and one of them says, do some impressions. And I started doing the impressions. Well, the whole place stopped. And they all came round the stage. And that's how I started becoming a solo act and doing the comedy.
Here's an act, ladies and gentlemen, that graduated through the clubs. You're going to hear a lot about this boy. He's very young, he's very good, he's very talented. Say hello to Freddie Starr.
This was the big break, the 1970 Royal Variety performance, where Freddie wowed the hoi polloi and a huge TV audience with his manic impressions.
It's not unusual to be in love with anyone. It's not unusual to go out with anyone.
I remember Freddie when I was 15 years old, seeing him at the Royal Variety Show and being knocked out by him, because he was just brilliant. It was a force of nature when you saw him. He really was. As soon as you see him doing that performance, you knew that this was a man who could be our next big thing, because he was so brilliant.
When he came on and done that Royal Command performance, I thought, good God, here's one of the all-time greats we're looking at, you know.
I've got that's gonna be. You're gonna give your look to me.
He was brash. I mean, he was a northern turn, you know, working to all these hoorays, and he just took them by the backside and shook them rigid. That's all he did.
I could hear this almighty applause and shouting and everything, and Max Bygraves was on stage, and he had to bring me back on again. So I was the first artist in 49 years to get a sort of encore.
You could say that a star was born. In this case, Freddie Starr.
Naomi, come play with me.
A TV career was launched. He was all singing, all dancing, all falling over funny.
It's all getting your photograph taken, they write up about you, they want to put you in the TV Times, you know, they want to put you in this, they want to put you in that. You know, I was a flavour of the month.
In part 2, Freddie's rise up the greasy showbiz pole continues. He gets a big house and his own bus, but then it all goes down the pan.
Why am I scared to the toilet?
By the early 70s, Freddie's madcap sense of humour had audiences in stitches everywhere.
Have you seen my umbrella?
Oh, no, sir.
Here it is.
But some of his colleagues on set were finding his unpredictability less easy to handle.
What did I say in you?
I don't really want to speak disrespectfully to him, but I could have killed him at times, really, and everybody felt that way.
You've got the music to this, haven't you?
What is it?
Yep.
Freddie has got difficulties, for example, learning a script.
Wait a minute. Hang about a bit of buffer.
And if he's working with somebody else and has to cue them and all that, he finds that terribly difficult. He's an instinctive performer. He had really the word discipline and Freddie seldom come in the same sentence.
I'm not allowed to touch these, am I? Well, don't. I won't. You get the director coming and saying, "This is my show, this is my show. My show, love, my show. You must be doing it like this." And you think, oh, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. You've got no idea. Yeah. Keep out of this, son, keep out of this.
Freddie found it difficult to control himself off stage as well as on.
Freddie is infinitely disgusting. I mean, part of that is he's anally fixated. I'll say no more.
I've eaten quite a few mushy peas since I've been here, and they're starting to work.
Well, Freddie Starr was always the practical joke, and I think he always will be. And his major obsession is his number twos. He is absolutely berserk about those. He will drop his trousers over anything.
He did defecate in Candlewick Green's drum kit, and that annoyed me terrifically. I put it over his head. I took him up to the changing room, and I picked the drum cover up and I put it over his head and threw him out of the club and told him not to come back. And he had his own defecation all over him. It is called defecating, isn't it?
But badass Freddie's comedy was the new rock and roll. By the late 70s, he was performing his live act in front of up to 7,000 people a night.
Freddie Starr!
He was the hottest thing. I mean, I was booking, the biggest nightclubs in UK. He was the highest paid performer we had, and he was on £60,000 a week.
Hey, mama, don't treat me wrong. I'm loving it the whole night long. She's all right.
You know, he was as big as Morecambe Wise. So he was very bookable.
In 1973, when I played here, I was working 320 days of the year, and I was doing that for 25 years, working me bollocks off. Yeah, I played here for 25 weeks. I used to fill it up. There's 1,400 seats in here. So you'd be playing like to 2,800 people a night.
Now, how's about that then? And as it happens, because we have now, on top of the pops, we have a blast from the past. And now, Pete, take that for a walk.
Freddie was coining it. He was tapping into a new sensation sweeping the nation. Get a load of mates from your local boozer to jump on a bus, go and watch some comedy and eat some fried chicken placed in a basket.
Any hen parties in tonight? Oh, well, cock-a-doodle-doo.
That sort of atmosphere, chicken in the basket, some people had too many drinks, you know. It was a good environment for Freddie and his type of humour. And that's why he was so successful.
Clubs started to go down, and he brought them back to life. It was him that did it, yeah.
Freddie was seen as the saviour of variety. He was the one who was going to turn it all around and make it all exciting again, and he certainly had a lot riding on him.
But the hectic showbiz lifestyle took its toll at home, and his 11-year marriage to Betty ended in divorce. By the turn of the decade, he'd moved down south to Royal Windsor and started a new family with second wife Sandy.
He had the mansion with the swimming pool, he had the big cars, he had the helicopters, he had yachts. I mean, you speak to him now and he looks back and he said, in his own words, he said, I was a dickhead. He enjoyed the fame and he enjoyed the trappings of fame.
I think you get hooked into being, sort of possessions.
They're all mine. Possessions.
I saw through the keyhole, and who would live in a house like this? And it was, one thing I remember, it was a sunken red bath, and there was a monogram FS with a gold swan that the water came out of. I'll never forget that. I thought, blimey, live work does pay well. despite your taste.
If I had my time over again, I would never do it again. It's a waste of time because you never live in that house. Because you're always working all the time.
Away from home and on the road, Freddie's impish good looks were attracting admiring glances.
In those days, he had a 28-inch waist and the blonde hair and then piercing eyes, as you say, you know, little trim backside. It's amazing. He used to wear these outrageous, he'd wear these white suits with the big flares and these white platform boots, like a rock star when he came out, you know, and then he used to do the Elvis stuff as well. And he was very handsome, and well, lots of young women in the audience in those days. Now we get their mums now.
They had a thing years and years ago, like a poll of the sort of the sexiest comic, and I come top of it.
When he'd finished a show, the girls would be clamouring around the stage door for him. I mean, he could have his pick of any of them.
He was a charmer with the women, and yes, I think he had a big appetite for women as well, a bit more than the normal appetite. Going to the gig in the hotel, a maid comes in with his breakfast and she ends up in bed with him.
A driver I knew that worked in Brighton said that he was alone to himself with the dancing girls. That's what I've heard.
There were always these girls that opened the show, you know, the dancers and everything, and they are mouth open. You say, oh my gosh, you know, Freddie Starr. Oh, he was huge.
Freddie's bad boy reputation was steadily growing within the industry. Among the many scuffles, fallouts and fondlings on the comedy circuit, he punched Crackerjack's Peter Glaze in a row over dressing room furniture, allegedly relieved himself in Engelbert Humperdinck's wardrobe, and made Lisa Stansfield cry. However, back in TV land, things were looking good for Freddie when he was offered his very own series. But like all Freddie TV vehicles to follow, it would only last one run.
Be very afraid. Freddie's back. Come play with me. I want to ruin your show.
Give me a break. It's because I was like, you know, writing stuff, and I'd get there and Russ Abbott would be doing it, you know. Somebody else would be doing it, you know, and like, I felt pushed out. You know, people want you out. Well, you've got to walk out. You know, you got to leave. So they give it to Russ Abbott, you know.
Seen as a safer pair of hands, Russ Abbott made a further 5 series. Freddie's brand of anarchic lunacy had driven the producers mental, and he was now cast into the TV wilderness. But a showbiz chum was about to come to his rescue.
I was having some success with a show called Punchlines. Freddie's career at that stage was virtually moribund. He couldn't get arrested. Nobody wanted to know him. And my press agent in those days was a man called Max Clifford. Freddie came along and asked me if we could help restart his career.
I think he was having problems getting on television. We'd gone a bit over the top once too often. So I had to kind of reassure TV producers, friends of mine, you know, get more of a media campaign going to then re-establish him.
I tried to get Freddie as a guest on a Christmas special of Punchlines as part of his rehabilitation. As you might expect, he was a model of good behaviour, and he was absolutely tremendous on the show. That's Freddie. You never know what you're going to get.
It's your show, then.
Yes,
your show. It's not mine. I don't want on stage.
Why me? Why me?
We got him back on television, and his career was relaunched.
Freddie was back on the box. During the mid-80s, he enjoyed another solo series, while scene-stealing chat show cameos like this were a constant reminder of his loony credentials. In the age of alternative comedy, Freddie was the alternative.
The penalty for espionage is death. Have you any last request before sentence is carried out? Stick it in. The blindfold?
Do with me what you will.
Off the telly, this legendary headline did Freddie no harm at all and kept bums on seats all over the country.
It worked as a PR exercise. It sold out the whole tour. They added dates, and I think he worked off the back of that hamster for years and years and years.
The story was, of course, total bollocks. But while Freddie was cock-a-hoop with his latest revival, it came at a heavy personal cost. On the road for up to 50 weeks a year, he was knackered.
Working and working and working. It's like you never see nobody growing up, you never see your kids growing up, and that's one of the downfalls. It's fatigue that you suffer with. I've had one manager had to push me on stage. I was that tired and knackered. He had to push me on stage.
He was a more sombre, a more solemn person. He seemed to be labouring under a cloud.
It was a cloud of drugs.
When he started to take things, you know, which he will tell you himself, I think that's when it really hit the depths.
I have a Valium sandwich.
Good?
Yeah.
What kind of sandwich? Valium.
Valium sandwich.
Yeah.
It's a tranquilizer. It makes you...
He became dependent on pills to get him up, dependent on pills to take him down, to get to sleep, to wake up, to relax, to enjoy himself. And he couldn't do anything without cocaine or Valium or whatever the mood took him.
I put myself in this thing. It's like a goldfish bowl. We're filled with water, but yet you have human eyes, you don't have fish eyes, you have human eyes, so it's all misty. It's like your mood swings like a shark's teeth. They're up and down, and you're not steady. And one person says the wrong word to you, you know, you can sort of bite back, you know, for no reason. And that's when you become unreasonable.
Freddie may have had his own problems, but life at home was becoming increasingly difficult for his kids and second wife Sandy.
I think it's bound to affect your personal life, you know, because really you're not well. You're mentally ill.
There were times when he disgusted me, particularly the way he treated people that were closest to him and were so good to him. Particularly he treated people that couldn't stand up for themselves.
Everyone's got a temper. Everyone's got a limit that they can go to. And when you reach that limit, some people's patience are more than others, you know.
Sandy told me that he would strike her regularly, and he always said, he always said, I'll always hit you on the back of the head, and I'll never leave bruises.
By 1994, Sandy had had enough, and they were divorced. It was an acrimonious, high-profile breakup. The papers had a field day, and on stage, so did Freddie.
I sort of got divorced on religious grounds because we didn't have sex. You know, because I'm Jewish and she's a pig. I wasn't worried what my ex-wife did or whatever she did. I didn't care. But what my children thought, I did care about. And they didn't really I don't think they really liked me, actually. I don't know why, but that's the way life goes sometimes, you know. And I just look at myself now as a sperm donor.
He did attempt a reunion with his son Jody, but ended up punching him. Jody reported his father, Freddie was arrested, spent 9 hours in jail, and was eventually charged with assault.
I think that was the end of the road for Jodie, and the end of the road for Donna. They're now grown up young people with their own friends, their own lives, and I feel that they probably think it's for the best.
He had a wonderful wife, lovely kids. Because of Freddie, he's not got them. They don't want to know him, and that's totally his fault.
In part 3, after an 8-year absence, Freddie finally lands another solo series. He also proves there's still a big audience for him, as 12 million tune in to see this maggot-hurling TV special. For most of the 80s, Freddie's TV appearances were limited to regular stints as a chat show clown.
They were queuing up saying, come on my chat shows. Come and do this and come and do that, and can you walk through the scenery for us? Why? No, because the press say that you're zany, so could you do that? And I say, yeah, of course I can do that.
And here he is, Mr. Freddie Starr.
And people would write about it in the newspaper saying, oh, he walked through Gloria Hunniford's set. You know, yeah, I did, but I was asked to, so I did it.
In 1993, after 8 years off the screen, Freddie got another chance. Only his 3rd series in 14 years. But once again, the show only lasted for 1 run.
He never really got any better. And he chose to keep doing the same old dreary old things that he'd been doing for years. To this day, he's doing it. And it's rather sad to see a person approaching pensionable age and quite portly doing Elvis Presley. Come on, Freddie.
He still did his Hitler, you know, even now. And I think, really, he didn't need to do that. He could move on and do something different.
No, I'm not doing things I was doing 30 years ago. That's totally stupid. Totally.
Whether it was new material or old material was immaterial. Freddie was still pulling in the punters. But although he was still booked into and filling the major live venues, by the mid-90s, the press had turned against him.
If a journalist didn't go away and write that he was the most wonderful person in the world, it was because there was something wrong with them. It wasn't because he'd behaved in their conversation like a total arsehole and turned someone that was maybe a fan to someone that couldn't bear to spend their time with him.
The press will have a go at you. Of course they will. It's part and parcel of being in show business. It's part of the game. One or two of the journalists may get, you know, really out of hand, and you got to, you know, have a word in their ear and say, listen, you're overstepping your mark here, pal.
On one notable occasion, Freddie did have a word in the ear of a journalist, but he let his fists do the talking.
I still maintain no. He deserved everything that I could have done to him, and I didn't. I could have done.
If you get divorced, she gets...
Freddie may have been losing friends in the press, but his fans didn't forget him. He was to return for what would be his finest hour on TV. 12 million viewers would tune in for this show. That's 4 million more than Kylie and 5 million more than Tom Jones.
For me, it was probably one of his best television performances of all time. It encapsulated all of the great things that he'd done, some of which were utter genius.
This is what I fish with, is these maggots.
And when I saw them coming towards me, the fear in my eyes, I mean, it really was, and that was for real.
Lovely down here.
I could see a couple wriggling around on the floor. I got them down my cleavage. you know. And I will never forget that as long as I live. And I got him afterwards. I mean, I gave him a tongue lashing afterwards.
I really enjoyed it. It was really good, you know, and everybody was happy with it. Very good ratings, you know, and that's why they asked me to do a second one.
I'm going to dangle something in front of your face. Just close your eyes and feel these balls banging on your chin.
When it comes to the second one, he had all this stuff that especially written for him, special magic stunts. But Freddie lost it somehow on the day. I don't know if it was the pressure or what. He just refused to do the show as it was scripted and just went out and did half an hour of his Blue Act, which LWT were pretty pissed off about.
Go get her.
It was almost, he has got a definite self-destructive edge to him.
Away from TV, Freddie has finally settled down with his third wife, Donna.
She's like my right arm, you know. She's a lovely person. And I'm so pleased that I met her. We're the best of friends and everything, you know. She's a diamond, you know.
However, even this relationship attracted headlines as Freddie wooed Donna away from her unemployed ex-binman husband and her 2 children. And with 5 children from previous relationships, past paternities can still catch up with him.
This guy followed him onto a gas station and the guy stuck a writ in his hand for, you know, a substantial amount of money. And then I got the phone call on the mobile. He tells me what's happened. And he's telling me that he's got his cock in his hand and he's strangling it because this is, you know, his cock has just cost him 60,000 quid or whatever it was. And he's strangling it because this is the culprit that's produced the children that's costing him all the money. And he's had enough of it.
Today, Freddie divides his time between Britain and his home in Spain. And though his appetite for the road remains undiminished, his TV appearances have been a bit thin on the ground.
Not bothered about television, you know. At the moment, they don't want to know me. You know, they don't want to know me. And it's not because of that, it's because that I don't want to know about television because the way it's run at the moment. And I just don't want to be part of that. And that's my privilege.
He exemplified disaster. He had more than his share. He had many times the required amount of talent and the required amount of opportunities to succeed to the highest levels in show business, and he blew the lot.
I just think he's terribly sad. I really do. It's a shame to see the squandering of what could have been a great talent.
As the years have gone by, he's got increasingly bitter because, you know, he knows the talent, but he's destroyed that talent.
No matter what they say about me, no matter what people do, no matter how many people knock me, how many people do it, they'll never do what I've done.
Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew.
Don't blame me for what I've done. Admire it. But don't knock it. I'm not a murderer or something. The knives were sharpened about 30 years ago, yeah, and they were just waiting for the right time to stick the knife in. So they've got to do what they've got to do.
I took the blows and did it my
Fabulous. Well, I'm going for the shit.